Hey Maria, it's Jeff Tan, and this is my reflection for week 4, differentiated instruction and high yield practices in the classroom. So this was actually a really cool reflection to work on this week. I really appreciated the readings and the research that you sent us on this, especially the stuff on the high yield. The high yield practices. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But what I really liked about that was, the actual, percentage values of how much more effective different practices are when you're working with your students. But first of all, let's talk about differentiated instruction. So differentiated instruction in the classroom, it's everybody's trying to get to the same place. You want everybody to get to the same place, but everybody's got a different set of skills, right? So the reason I'm doing this in the shop, because I was going to use tools as an analogy, right? So first of all, this would not be a very good tool to pick up if I wanted to make some scrambled eggs. All right. So, for example, if I was when I was growing up, right, if I ever picked up a hammer to make scrambled eggs, my mom would have gone like Asian mom, which is right up there with the intensity of like Italian nonna. Okay, so like can you imagine? If you ever picked up a hammer to try to make scrambled eggs in your nonna's kitchen? Probably not your most intelligent moment if you ever did, right? I'm not saying you did, but some guy probably did, and probably felt the big canoe paddle that you use to make tomatoes. Anyway, so this though is a fantastic. This is actually called a ball peen hammer, and specifically, this hammer is the perfect tool to use when you're working with metal. Now, this hammer is a framer's hammer, and this is the right tool to use, the most effective tool to use when you are framing a house, because this is the hammer that you would use to hammer in nails as you're as you're framing a house, right? So differentiated instruction, our students are gifted in different ways. I wanted to give an example of differentiated instruction when it came to evaluation. So I had this student one time at Villanova, and when I was teaching there, and at best she was a C student. Her writing was always at a level 2. Okay, so her writing was always at a level 2, maybe 2 plus. And I gave an assignment. Closer to it was in the second half of the year, and part of the assignment, I wanted to make it a little bit artistic, a little bit creative. So I wanted them to draw or paint a picture, around a theme. And this student came up to me and asked if she could do a collage instead. And I said, okay, well, whatever, right? Like, sure, okay, go do a collage. And, not really, well, I mean, I was, a much less mature teacher at that time, with my own ideas. And, and so she came back to me with this collage, and I was blown away. I was totally humbled. The level of understanding that she demonstrated in this collage with the pictures that she chose and in relation to the themes and everything that we were working on was a level 4. And it blew me away because all this time, because most of my evaluations, the majority of my evaluations were all, all writing based. But she was a much more visual person, and she could articulate and express herself better visually in a collage medium. And if I had given her the opportunity to express herself, in these final evaluation pieces, in that way, she would have actually gotten a much higher mark in my class. I know it's not always about marks, but it was an example to me. It woke me up to the to the importance of making sure that everybody is able to shine in their own way. So so that's the importance of differentiated instruction. A hammer it makes a fantastic tool for hammering nails into two pieces of wood to build a house, but it's lousy for cutting. This is the tool for cutting. Okay, so extending the tool analogy, this is a fantastic tool for cutting, but let's take a look at high yield strategies. So high yield strategies, like I mentioned before, I was like blown away with the statistical analysis, the research that you gave us, regarding how much more effective, different practices are, when you apply them in your teaching. So to me, it's like, the difference between using this tool and using this tool. Both of them cut wood. One of them cuts wood a little bit more efficiently. Or sometimes you need to use this tool. That, like, you can't swat a fly with an elephant gun, like they say, right? So you have to use the right tool for the right job and the right application, right? Hammers are great. Using a high yield tool would be something like, using a nail gun, right? But again, only if it's the right and appropriate tool to use at the time. Anyway, so that's kind of, hopefully that all made sense. And anyway, those are my thoughts on the readings for this week. And I'll see you soon.